Yes, this is DJ Ski.
I'm Jeff Wilson.
Hey guys, Andy Broom, Vice President of CGC Cards.
Hey, this is Jason Howarth with Panini.
Yo, I'm Q Harrison.
Hey gang, this is Tom Verrilli. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Whatnot.
This is Teapot from Sports Card Investor.
This is Adam Rips with VFriends.
What's up? This is Aaron from Slab Stocks.
Hey, this is Clark from 5 Card Guys and the Cards to the Moon podcast.
Hey guys, this is Jay with Wild Card.
What's up everyone? This is Duke Dodson from Graybos.
What's up everybody? This is Chris Kelsey from Nash Cards.
What's up everyone? This is Mark Hill from My Card Post.
This is Ray Schulte.
This is Chase Krim.
This is Cody from Texas Roadshow Shop.
This is Mark Aaron from WSB Radio in Atlanta, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show.
I'm loving the content.
Loving the content here.
I'm loving the content here on the Sports Card Strategy Show.
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 And I'm telling you, the Sports Card Strategy Show.
This is the Sports Card Strategy Show with your man, Paul Hickey. What's good?
Be sure to subscribe for year-round advice on keeping your portfolio up to date.
Part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, the #1 place for advice on how to make money flipping sports cards. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there is no off-season.
There is no off-season.
There is no off-season.
And there's no off-season.
You already know, there is no off-season.
No off-season!
All right, you ready to rock?
Ready to go.
When you get into this game, the reason why you pay someone like Paul Hickey to get your sports card strategy together is because sometimes when you're starting out, you need perspective, you need wisdom, you need insights. And so he's been around the track enough times where he can actually coach you up and guide you. Doesn't mean he's going to take you to the promised land tomorrow, but you now have a coach by your side that can advise and kind of even create these pathways where you can get the education yourself. And that's a lot better than thugging it out on your own. Thugging it out on your own.
What? The kids better buy my rookie card now, because after this year, the price ain't coming down.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Paul Hickey. It's time to sit back, listen, learn, and earn with me on the Sports Card Strategy Show. It's time to listen, learn, and earn with me and Lefty McKee on the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm back. Lefty, what's up, brother?
Dude, that little jingle was cute. Did you just make that up?
Just on the spot.
Well, you know what? Nothing but the best for these Sports Card Strategy Show listeners. And you're just going to make up little jingles as we go.
When we go live, something happens. Everything just comes together, and I'm ready to go and help you all make money flipping sports cards. We're going to give some live chat love here in a second, but first, Lefty, are you tracking your sports card inventory properly in 2025, everybody? Sports Card School and our inventory tracker help you to do so. Go premium at nooffseason.com. There are multiple pricing tiers, and of course, still a free 30-day trial option, everybody. So go do that. All right. Couple things I want to talk about at the top of today's show. Yes, I know. Last night was the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about some Jalen Hurts pricing here in a second that I just kind of pulled up. But one thing that caught my eye recently that I haven't had a chance to talk to you and the family about yet is, PSA added this new value max service level that I thought was kind of cool. It's relevant to me because I've been buying a lot of these cards that I want to get graded that are between $500 and $1,000. And I just thought, then my other level is sometimes I'm buying like Tops Now, Cooper Flagg Tops Now cards and Caitlin Clark, lower tier Caitlin Clark, Shohei Ohtani cards, etc., that I want to get graded. So one thing we've talked about is sometimes you want to keep your bigger cards out of the submissions with your smaller cards because, for example, real life scenario the other day, I had 20 Cooper Flagg cards show up. I think it's his third Tops Now card showed up at my house finally, and 44. I had a Victor Wembanyama. The Victor Wembanyama auto that I shared with all of you a few weeks ago that I bought that was over $1,000. I decided, look, this might be better if I keep the Victor Wembanyama auto out of the Cooper Flagg submission, use this value max, or even just the regular value, because the regular value I think is like 20 days or 25. It's not like this value max is $60 a card, maximum insured value of up to 1,000, estimated turnaround time 15 business days. I think the regular value individual card is half the price, only a few more business days, and 500 maximum insured value. So I think both of those options are good. I think the value max is good though if you want to get it back in a couple of weeks and it's a bigger card. Maybe use it, right? So just wanted to kind of hit that real quick. And I think if you were to include the bigger card in the Tops Now submission, now you've put the grader in a situation where they have to grade two different types of cards, which could slow the submission down, as we've seen in the past, where if you just have like a Tops Now 20 jiggler, maybe just send that in under the regular value bulk and keep the bigger cards out of it. What do you think, Lefty?
Yeah, I really like this. I think, honestly, their subscriptions before this, or their submission types before this, were really inflated if you were going to grade a large card with them, because it was just like, dude, this is incredibly expensive. I think this actually prevents most people from putting their huge cards into bulk submissions and requiring an email, which is just another step that's going to slow down the process. I think this will prevent that a little bit more, allow us to send in things that isn't such a crazy turnaround, but isn't like a super, $250 fee right at the front, and you don't even know if your card's really going to gem or anything like that. So I like this. I think it's smart for you to pull the Wembanyama out, because, for instance, I just made a submission again this last week, or actually today. I've actually put them in the mail today, and I put two jigglers of the 44 Cooper Flagg card. This one, is this the one?
Yeah, that was the one I submitted. Yep.
So I just sent two jigglers of that in. I put some more Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year cards that I went back to the well on, and we can talk about that play specifically if you want. I sent 40 of those, or actually 31 of those, because 9 of them I deemed ungradable, and then 9 of the Caitlin Clarks as well. So I sent that in one submission, and then I had another submission with it was like some just random cards that I wanted to grade. There was like some old school Steph Curry cards that I wanted to potentially grade that we were able to find, some Morikama cards, which is the next MPB guy that's going to come after Roki. So I'm already looking to the next one.
Already looking to it. I love it. I know our audience is going to love that too.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that. There's actually 2 guys I'm looking forward to that are coming over from MPB that I'm not full on slamming a full investment on. I know our people can get crazy on you say one name and they're just going to drop $1 bazillion on it. So that's not what this play is. It's a marginal play. But I submitted those separately than the others. So I technically have 2 submissions going in because I wanted to keep the Tops Now and Panini Instant cards separate than the mixed smattering of just cards that I had that I wanted to grade. So
yeah, I think sometimes like it makes sense if you get a couple of different jigglers, or maybe you've got like some base, maybe you're following our formula based sports card rankings raw to grade, and you've got some cards that are like $100 and under raw that you've bought from our rankings at nooffseason.com, and you've got those in hand, and then you've also got your jigglers. I think it's okay to combine those types of cards if it's like ultra modern, kind of like base, or maybe even silver, or different kinds of parallels with the jigglers. I think what happens though when you start to take, for example, like, maybe it's like the auto that we talked about that's just like a higher price card. Maybe it's like for me personally, like these Michael Jordan older cards that technically could fit in the value vault.
Sure.
But what it does is like, and I can wait on the Jordan cards. That's not the issue. But what I think it does is it slows down the overall submission if I were to combine the Jordan or maybe the higher price Wemby. And I don't want to slow down a Cooper Flagg 44, to your point. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think that's for those of you kind of wondering, like, well, hey, Paul, I thought you said, combining everything is a smart way to go. It is, but not if you're sitting there maybe one day and you've got the, this older card, or you've got this higher price card, and then if you're going to wait for your other cards to show up, I'd almost rather just have you send in you maybe take advantage of this max value or even just the regular value. Yeah. But anyway, we've also got nooffseason.com grading with PSA that we'll talk about later on in the show. So you could always do that too if you're kind of just looking for extra help on that. Lefty, let's do in order. Quick Jalen Hurts pricing, quick live chat love. Then let's go to a quick discussion with Clark Kim from Cards to the Moon about chasing the grade versus buying the card, and then get your take on that. And then we'll get into the rest of our topics for today. All right. So obviously the Eagles absolutely slaughtered the Chiefs. Ridiculous Super Bowl. Eagles defense, I think, did it all, but obviously Jalen Hurts had a great game. He did his job. When I go to, Market Movers isn't going to really have yet the total bulk data from less than 24 hours ago. But if you go to eBay, here's what I did. I went to eBay, sold listings for Jalen Hurts rookie card. There are over 22,000 sold listings for Jalen Hurts rookie card. Now, those will probably include some that were pre-Super Bowl, but just initially it's showing February 10th, which is post-Super Bowl. What I like to see is a lot of these buy it now or best offers were just binned. 2020 Immaculate Jalen Hurts RPA 3-color patch auto out of 99 BGS 9. Just a buy it now at $1,400. A Jalen Hurts impeccable silver bar out of 20 rookie case hit. Just binned at $850. No offer. Just some people just buying them right away. And then you've got lower dollar cards 2020 Panini Mosaic base PSA 10, just bought immediately. Buy it now, $62.99, which is actually pretty high for that card. So you've got a lot of obviously Jalen Hurts, buy it now. You've got Origins autos bought at $400. You've got Optic Green Velocity Raw. This is crazy. 2020 Panini Donruss Optic Green Velocity Raw, $120 just bought. So props to the family members, the nooffseason.com family members and the Sports Card Strategy Show listeners who had these listed, way to have these listed, way to have them listed in a buy it now. If they didn't go earlier than the Super Bowl, they're certainly going right now. So I think that's the strategy. That's the takeaway here. Obviously Jalen Hurts sell alert. If you haven't done it yet, I'd go buy it now, because I think if you go auction, you could go auction, but I think if you go auction now, it could be too little too late. By the time you get 7 to 10 days from now, people just might not care as much. What do you think, Lefty?
No, I think you've got to sell it now. I mean, they're definitely not going to care as much in 7 to 10 days, because that was one of the most boring Super Bowls of all time. And unfortunately, it was just I think everybody expected the Chiefs to win because of all the narrative of the refs are getting paid and blah, 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 blah. For the NFL's perspective, they're thank God that that the Chiefs did not win due to all the all the stuff that we've been taking on as PR problems recently. But the way that it also played out is it wasn't engaging either. And it was the halftime show wasn't engaging for most people either, because Travis Scott isn't the Beyonce type showiness person. And so I think overall, not only was this the Super Bowl that people were boycotting anyway, but then the people that did watch it have been severely underwhelmed by the actual thing. I think that's a bad look for the NFL. I think going forward, stock down on the NFL. And I don't know how that affects it.
Oh, wow.
Probably nothing. Probably doesn't affect anything in the grand scheme of things.
Stock down on the NFL. All right, let's get to that later in the episode. Maybe we'll do a little debate between you and I later in the episode. Stock down on the NFL. Lefty with the hot take there. Yeah, and just a quick correction. It was Kendrick Lamar as the halftime show, not Travis Scott. Just had to correct your hip hop knowledge there. For those sports card strategy show listeners that care, it was Kendrick Lamar, but that's okay. Lefty, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong about a lot of what you said there. I mean, you've got like you've got live family cards kind of coincidentally enough in the live chat over on Instagram saying, when do you think Jalen Hurts cards will spike up? Should I hold until comps rise or create a buy it now and find out? I think it's all about the buy it now, because like I said, I think 7 to 10 days from now, if you wait, I think prices are going to go down. I think now is the moment to sell Jalen Hurts. If you didn't have him listed already, I think that's probably a mistake. I think you need to have him listed now in a buy it now, because people will buy it and just put whatever price you want on it, maybe field offers. That will allow you to sell it and get the money now versus waiting. I think 7 to 10 days from now, like Lefty and I agree. I think the price is going to go down. Maybe we agree for different reasons. I guess we'll just kind of have a fun debate on that later in the episode. Okay, so live chat love. Andrew Helms, Drew Adams, Arturo Torres, Thomas McCauley, Andrew McDade, Terry Anderson, Brian Bartunik, Ryan Painter.
Come on.
Andrew Helms. We'll get back to Andrew Helms in a second. Big Pat, Kevin McCullough, It's Me Pickles, Jay Millyrocks, Mac and Sons Cards, Big Pat Sports Cards, Halls.co, that's Jake the Guardian. What's up, Jake the Guardian? Troy A. Travis, Barry Sif, Denver Cards, Boogie Pulls, Live Family Cards we already talked about. Gary Arf. Those last names were over on IG. Lefty can't see him. He's probably like, what? Who the heck are these people? Jaime Corona in the house. Andrew Helm says Lefty in a sling. For those of you watching, let's let Lefty address this if he wants to real quick. Lefty is in a sling. It is his left arm in a sling. Lefty, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm on painkillers, so that's good. But yes, last Thursday I was not on the premium pod because I was having surgery on my left elbow. So, perfect timing for me to be 1 year removed from 2026 spring training when I can come into the Rangers roster. And because every team needs a 32-year-old reliever that throws high 70s. So I have the absolute attention and aura of Heath Bell, if you guys remember that closer from back in the day, but the speed of R.A. Dickey on the mound. So I'm really looking forward to 2026 spring training camp when I get to enter the Rangers. But awesome. I did have elbow surgery last week. All is good. I will start physical therapy on the 19th. So
everybody send Lefty your well wishes, your thoughts, and a speedy recovery. Speedy recovery. Lefty, we're thinking of you. Glad the surgery went well. Never fun to go under the knife, but glad it all went well. And let's switch gears real quick. Brian Bartunik is a premium member of NoOffSeason.com. And I do want to address this because I think it's very astute that he just immediately pointed this out. So very, very astute of Brian. He says, interesting that you guys made plays on the non-number one now Cooper Flaggs. Thought anything after the number one wasn't worthy of a play. Did I misunderstand? It's not that you misunderstood, Brian. It's that we want to be very careful with everybody. We said to make plays on the number one for sure. Then I believe there was a number 44 and a number 16. The one that we talked about getting the jiggler of just now was the third of those three, the third one to come out. The second ones are already at PSA for me. We did say make a play on the first and the second ones. The third one, the number 44 that we just talked about, that Lefty held up, I did say caution. I said caution, pump the brakes. This isn't necessarily a no-brainer. And the reason I said that is because, and as we're seeing, while the Cooper Flagg number 1 PSA 10s are selling very well, and I'm going to talk about mine in a second, they're not rising in price. And I know Duke lost over the weekend, but Cooper Flagg has been stellar, and Duke should still be a top 5 team, I would think. But so I don't know that like the Duke loss to Clemson necessarily affects the pricing of Cooper Flagg's cards. What I'm saying is the more supply that hits the market, the price is going to go down. And so what I was saying about the third play, the number 44 play that Brian asked about in the live chat, was just be careful, because the more that you keep buying Cooper Flagg cards and getting them graded, you will see a decrease in pricing. You won't make as much money. So you either need to be, you need to know that. So you either need to be equipped to maybe make $10 a card on that play versus maybe upwards of $50 a card on the first play. Or you need to do what I did, which was use your Topps rewards points to drastically lower the cost. So the reason I made the play is because I used a ton of Topps rewards points to drastically lower the price of that card. The other reason I said pump the brakes on that particular card is because they were not at the same price point. They were at more of $8 to $10 per card for the Jiggler than they were at the $4 to $5 per card price point of the typical Jiggler. So there were it's a case-by-case basis, everybody. It is a case-by-case basis on this, and it's very situational, based individually on each of your individual situations, which is why we always want people asking questions at nooffseason.com/ask with specifics about your situation. How much would you have to pay for these cards? Do you have Topps points? Why are you thinking of making this play? Why are you confused about making this play? Because if we're not about blanket statements. Sometimes we will be, and we'll be like, everybody needs to make the play on this card. And that is what we said about the first one. But then every subsequent one after that, especially like what happened with Caitlin Clark, Jaden Daniels, all those Panini Instant Topps Now plays, we were very, very careful with all of you and very specific, or at least we try to be. So actually, let's push the Clark Kim video one more segment, because I mentioned the Cooper Flagg cards already, and so it makes sense to just go right into that and then come back to chasing the grade versus buying the card. So Lefty, let me tell everybody what my results were with the Cooper Flagg number 1. Get your take on it. I bought 40 of them. I know you bought 60 of them. I bought 40 of them. They were in a bulk submission with 30 other member submissions. So premium members of nooffseason.com can grade their cards with us. So I had 30 member Cooper Flagg cards. So 70 total Cooper Flagg number 1 cards where he's soaring through the air and dunking the basketball.
Great photo, by the way.
Phenomenal photo. Love the card. And it was in a bulk submission with 73 other cards from members of nooffseason.com. Still turned it around pretty fast. Listen to this. 70 out of 70 got PSA 10s. A 100%
yes
mem rate. 70 out of 70.
Dude, that is sick.
PSA 10s. That's pretty sick, right?
I love that. Not only for you, but for my hopes of me getting 10s as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Phenomenal 100% gem rate. That's the first time. It's not the first time I've ever had a 100% gem rate. I've had 20 out of 20 and things like that, but 70 out of 70 is insane. So now 10 of them were for one particular grading customer, 20 were for a different grading customer, and then 40 were mine. Here's what I decided to do. I decided to do a little experiment because I think you and some other family members have encouraged me to do something like this and report back. And I will report back my findings maybe as early as next week, but probably more like a couple weeks from now, because I got to let everything go through the entire auction process. But what I decided to do is send 20 directly to PSA's eBay account, 10 to the PSA Vault, and I'll tell why in a second. and then 30 back directly to me to auction off through my eBay account. Now, initially, my eBay account is having much better initial results. Now, none of the auctions have closed yet. Every single auction has at least 2 to 8 days left in the auction process, which is why I might have to wait until a couple of weeks to report back on all the findings. But initially, like, mine are getting quicker bids at the higher opening bid amount. The highest opening bid amount I set was $29.99. So $30 opening bid. These are selling, by the way, for between $80 and $90 pretty consistently in auctions and buy it nows. So the PSA auctions are moving along slower, and I have a hypothesis about why. At the same opening bid amount, they're getting overall about the same percentage of auctions have bids, but the PSA auctions took longer to get bids, and so there's far less days remaining in those auctions, partially because my auctions I set as 10-day auctions, and PSA auctions you can only set to 7-day auctions. So it's like they could all end up at the same, like, pretty close within dollars of each other. But as of now, with only a couple of days left in a lot of the PSA auctions, they're not on pace to get to where mine are on pace to get to. So I'm being, like, somewhat vague because I know this could all change. But, like, right now I feel more confident in the no off-season sports cards auctions on eBay than the PSA auctions on eBay. I think the reason why, hypothesis, is that you can't change the title of the PSA listings, which I don't like. So, for example, in my listings, I put Cooper Flagg, rookie card, RC, first card, things like that, along with the PSA Gem Mint 10 and everything else. Well, PSAs basically just says 2024 Bowman U Now #1 Cooper Flagg PSA 10. And then everyone who's auctioning those cards off through PSA, that's the exact same title. So if people are searching for Cooper Flagg rookie card or Cooper Flagg first card or something like that, I don't know that PSA's auctions are doing as good of a job of picking up as many search phrases based on that title. So I could be off as to why, but regardless, I don't like that you can't change the title of your PSA auction, because I do think that the title and the description play a decent sized role in the SEO, searching them up on eBay. And so I don't love that. Now, the reason why I sent 10 to the PSA Vault, Lefty, can you guess the reason?
Because you're expecting the buyout.
Yes, exactly. I was expecting a buyout. Now I'm highly disappointed that there's no offers on those PSA 10s. And I was ready to just accept, because I thought they would be, based on the math, I thought they would be somewhere around $73 a card. I thought they'd offer me $73 a card because they're showing in my collection an $82 PSA estimate, but a range of $65 to $98 for that card. So it says 82. So I thought, okay, they're going to offer me 73-ish, something like that. And I'm going to take it because when I do the math on, say, a PSA or like an eBay auction ending just under 90, then that puts me around the same price after fees. So I think, I thought I would get offers. I know I'm disappointed that I have no offers, but Lefty, now I have 10 Cooper Flaggs just sitting in the vault. Now, to get them out of the vault, I have to pay essentially $6 per card to get them out of the vault. So I have to pay PSA $60 to ship those cards back to me, which eats $6 out of those cards if I want to auction them off myself. So now I'm a little bit stuck. What would you do if you were me?
I would let them stick there. I mean, how many did you have? 40? So the odds of this card going up over the next 3 months, I think, are good. I think this card will sell better in March. This is a hypothesis that this card will sell better in March and when he's drafted than it will right now, because in the immediacy, he just lost. Now, I will say he played incredible against Clemson and cramped up and everything and still had a game tying 3 like late in the game. Of course, he slipped in the final possession, which was reminiscent of his first game when he slipped and lost the game as well. The very first loss that Duke had. It's just funny that he said 2 losses and the final possession was him slipping. What are the odds of that? But I think this card goes up again. So I would want to, even if it wasn't in the vault, I would say hold 10 of them back to potentially sell them at another selling point here, because we're not going to be void of Cooper Flagg information over the next couple of months. He's going to be the dog. Like, he's the GOAT in terms of guys where should be marketed during March Madness. So I think you'll get other opportunities to sell these cards. Plus, what I know about PSA is every single hour they are rotating those offers. Sometimes I'll check the offer sheet. Sometimes I'll check the offer stuff like 3 or 4 different times in the day, and they're offering different amounts, per card, but also different cards. Like, I have some Davis and De Los Santos autos that I'm going to sell here during spring training in a couple of weeks. I have offers every day on those cards, and they're different every time because I think I have 12 of them in my vault. And so, like, some of them are big autos, some of them are just PSA 10 chromes of his. So because I have so many different layers of cards in there, sometimes I have offers on the big cards, sometimes I have offers on the smaller ones, but they're changing. I don't sell any of those because I know I can get more money for them in the future. And I'm not like trying to make those a quick flip. Now, so as soon as I just logged in one day at like 10 p.m., the first day I had those cards in the vault, it was like a happy accident with Caitlin Clark, and I had an $80 buyout on every one of them, and I just started clicking those suckers. Well, I still have 5 of those PSA 10s, and I don't have a buyout for those 5 cards. So it's changing all the time. So I would say keep them in the vault, because you never know when PSA is going to say make a buy on those cards, because we can profit on that. So I think it just depends. I've actually was making a hypothesis earlier today about why they do those buyouts. And then I also was making a hypothesis on some of my buy it now cards that I have sold through PSA. I have listed them well over recent comps of whatever card that they have. I've sold 2 big cards on a buy it now that was over $100 higher than the previous sell. And here's why I think that happens. One, you could make a point of like, PSA has large eyeballs. I'm going to actually throw a different point out there, and it's a little conspiracy theory. All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, go for it. This is great information about the PSA Vault from Lefty McKee, by the way. Keep going.
I have a theory that PSA sometimes buys their own buy it nows that are listed by other people because they think they are collecting as well, and like the company is trying to pull cards off of buy it now that they know will go up that they can flip.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. So you think maybe they have their own little department that's like us, where they have people that are like us and they're prospecting on.
I think they have an R&D department, a research and development department, that is looking over the buy it now listings of their own, of all of our listings. And I believe that they are buying some of those that they feel like are good investments. The 2 cards that I had that sold much higher than the previous buys were a Pulisic PSA 10 Kaboom, so very low pop count, but a high value card. It sold for, I think, $200 or $300 more than the previous sell. But statistically, you could say that is a good hold going into the World Cup. I know you don't like that, but statistically, you could say that. The second card that I had that went for mega money more than the last sell was I bought a PSA 9 Prism 2018 split Messi Ronaldo card. You know that like Messi Ronaldo Prism. I think maybe 2018, maybe it's 2014. The Prism where they're both on there together. I bought a PSA 9 of that for 200. Put it in the vault, and I listed it in the vault in a buy it now for 350, and it so that's $150 difference on the last comp, and it sold yesterday. And so I was just like, interesting. I think they are potentially looking at cards that they know could potentially go up or have a low pop count, and they are actually internally keeping those for other times to sell later.
That is so interesting. So let me just clarify the last one you talked about. So I might get this wrong. Are you saying that you bought that card, the Ronaldo Messi card that was, are you saying it was from a different seller, but it was PSA Vault eligible where you could send it to your vault? And then after it was in your vault, you listed it through the PSA account in a buy it now and sold it for more money?
So this specific auction, I ended up buying this card off of Twitter. I bought this card off of Twitter that I just happened to see. I wasn't looking for this card, but I know this card is a nice card. And so I bought it off of Twitter for $200. I sent it. I had the buyer that I bought it from send it straight to my vault. So I had him mail it to my vault. It got there, and then once it was in the vault, I listed it as a buy it now in case anybody wanted to pay me more than it was worth. But I was comfortable holding this card, knowing that this card is really low pop count. I mean, the fact that this 9 is selling for 300 something. So it ended up selling for 325, and my cost was 200, and the value is 268. So I think I'm making a hypothesis that I think that there's some other stuff going on with some of the auctions or some of the buy it nows or auctions that are put on their site, that they're not necessarily always going to a single one-off buyer, if that makes sense. I think there are buying collectives behind PSA that are working with PSA.
Oh, okay. I see. Interesting.
And maybe it's their I would say that it's their internal system. Like, I would say it's internal. You could also make the argument that it's external and that it's partners working with them. They do have language for that, because some of the offers that they give you, some of the language behind the part where they were saying that was going to come through when they were about to announce that this was going to be a feature that they were going to offer. They said that they have buyers that the shops that they work with that they know can sell those cards in their shop, and they're buying them now from the PSA and then having them shipped to local card shops. They already have that language in there. So I'm saying, what's stopping them from also doing that on full price auctions as well, that they can buy and have sent to the buyers collective as well?
Gotcha.
Just a theory. Just a theory.
All right. So I want to see if Derek Hagan's comment here, thanks to Derek, he's a premium member at nooffseason.com. He says, you can send a request to PSA to update the title. Usually takes 24 to 48 hours. Derek says, I've added population counts, etc. So can you change the title description as you list the card? So here's one of my Cooper Flagg 2024 Bowman U Now #1 cards. I click sell on eBay, takes me to the next screen. Things to know. Most items will go live on PSA store on eBay between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern, but may change at our sole discretion. PSA will handle listing, packaging, shipping, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to find where you would submit. Like, I don't doubt that Derek's right. Like, I think Derek's right. I don't know where that is. So you're not doing it unless I'm missing it, you're not doing it on the item screen, which kind of worries me. So I don't know. Does that mean you have to go to their contact form and fill out the contact form and maybe reference the item number? Do you have to work directly with someone? Do you have to do it through their chat? I don't know. I think it's a great tip. I don't doubt that Derek's absolutely right. That seems a little bit more cumbersome to me. That almost
feels like a racket.
It feels like it's not worth the time for this card.
Yeah.
It's probably worth the time if you have maybe the card Lefty just showed us with the Ronaldo Messi, where it's a PSA 9 lower pop count, and that would make sense to me. But if I've got 40 between 10 and 40 Cooper Flagg cards in the possession technically of PSA on my behalf, that feels like not necessarily worth it. But I think it's a great tip. So let's go over to a great discussion that I had with Clark Kim of Cards to the Moon and 5 Card Guys on Instagram. Clark wanted to talk to me about chasing the grade versus buying the card. We're going to play the audio and the video here, and then Lefty and I are going to talk about it real quick before we move on to the rest of our segments. Stay with us.
Here it is. If you found a card in a PSA 10 slab, which costs, let's say $1,000, just to keep things simple, but then you can also find the same card, except it's a numbered parallel. So it's a little more rare, but it's in a BGS 9 or even a BGS 9.5 slab, and it also costs $1,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. You can always buy the BGS slab and crack it out, hoping for a PSA 10. But let's say for this example, you don't crack it out because maybe it just doesn't look like you'll get a PSA 10, right? So you keep it in its BGS case. I'm wondering, in this scenario, which would you rather buy as an investment? Do you lean more toward the rarity of a card, the lower numbered parallel, or the grade of a card, the higher number parallel, or even the base, but it's a PSA 10 versus a BGS 9?
I think it's a great question. I mean, I'm going to give you a real answer, but I would always say it depends on the card first.
Sure.
So I think with all the millions of cards out there, it definitely depends on the card. But let's say, can I throw out like a card example that I'm thinking of right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say like a Victor Wembanyama Topps Chrome refractor PSA 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Versus a Victor Wembanyama Topps Chrome serial numbered, say blue refractor, I think out of 150. Mm-hmm. In like a PSA 9, right? Is that kind of what you're?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that could work too. Yeah.
Okay. So I think, people grade cards for different reasons, and one reason that I grade cards, and I encourage my listeners at the Sports Card Strategy Show to grade cards, is because it creates rarity. So rarity then helps determine value, and in theory increases desirability of the card. So in this case, they're both have similar rarity, right? I mean, like the PSA 10 gives the base refractor some scarcity, but yet we know there's only 150 of the blue. So I think both are fairly equal cards in that regard. And I would definitely not care too much about the grade of the PSA 9 blue refractor. I think what it comes down to me is price, and price versus what I perceive the market value to be in the future. Yeah. So if I can get, all things equal, I may go after the blue out of 150, just because I know that there's only going to be maximum 150 of those. And so I do think, say 150 or out of 499. I know you're a baseball guy, and I know the Bowman first auto refractors are out of 499. I think that's another great example of a card where you can go after the out of 499 and in a PSA 9 versus the base auto in a PSA 10. Right. The out of 499 PSA 9 might do better because of the same reason that we're talking about. So if you can get the serial numbered card, and it's still in a PSA 9, let's be honest, is still a high grade. Or I know you said BGS 9. BGS 9 also, that's still a high grade. Yeah. And like BGS, you can see the subgrades. So I like that you can see the subgrades in a BGS. I think, yeah, our previous discussion talked about a crack and submit play. I think these, you don't necessarily have to crack them out and submit them. I think like BGS 9, PSA 9, SGC 9.5, CGC 9.5 in the say Bowman Chrome First Prospect Auto Refractor out of 499 is just as good of a card, if not better, than the PSA 10 auto base auto. Is that kind of what you were hoping to get out of this?
No, I appreciate that insight, and that's a great example. And I love what you said about the PSA 10 creating a level of scarcity. And I think an important distinction to make is also whether these PSA 10 cards versus PSA 9 with a rare parallel a card is from the modern era or from the vintage, or even the early 2000s when they didn't print as many cards. So if you're thinking about the modern cards, like even Victor Wembanyama, obviously he'd be in the modern era, and you got a PSA 10 of a base, you just don't know how many more PSA 10s there will be in the near future, because I'm sure there's a lot more. People are trying to grade these base cards to get that PSA 10 value. Whereas, part of the reason why I bring this up is because I think this is the first time I'm mentioning on air, even before my own podcast on Cards to the Moon. But I sold my PSA 9 base of the Mike Trout first Bowman Chrome Auto for about 4,500 USD, and that was and it kind of ties in with the crack and resubmit because it was in a BGS 9 and I got it up to a PSA 9. We talked about that for sure a couple weeks ago. But then when I sold the PSA 9 after the upgrade, I bought a BGS 9.5 of the Mike Trout first Bowman Chrome, but a refractor numbered to 500. So for me in that case, the BGS 9.5 versus the PSA 9 of the base, I'd rather have the numbered version because I know there's only going to be 500 of those, and there's going to be even rare gem mint cards of that refractor numbered to 500 versus the base, which is still a nice card in the PSA 9 because I don't think there's going to be that many more PSA 9 or 10s graded of Mike Trout because it's a 2009 card. But that's what I mean by whether it's from the modern era or even if you're looking back 10, 20 years. Just be mindful, I guess, of the pop count overall. But
that's a great point. Lefty, there's a lot of information in there. A lot of information on the Sports Card Strategy Show, everybody. What do you think about that discussion, Lefty McKee?
I think Thomas says it well in the chat here where it's situation dependent. I like the explanation here. I think sometimes the grade, the rarity of the card matters more than the grade of the card, which is why we sometimes tell people, hey, on an extremely low pop count card, maybe grading it is not the move. Because if it's an out of 5, out of 10, sometimes a low grade could impact it worse than if you were just to sell the card raw at a selling marker or something. Like obviously the raw to grade play is getting a raw card and then grading it and having the upscale, the price indication upscale of a PSA 10 is where we go for in the raw to grade. It's not just having a graded card makes it more valuable. It's the gem mint of it that's going to make it the more valuable. That's where the price increase comes from. So there have been times where I have bought a PSA 9 or a PSA or a BGS 9.5 if the grade was an out of 150, for instance. And a little spoiler alert on a guy that I am going to bring up, or I was wanting to bring up later in the show, is there's a prospect that I'm looking at right now, which I know people go crazy for when I say those words. But Trey Morgan is a guy that I have been looking for autos of his. And the only one that's available right now that's a refractor is a BGS 9. It's a BGS 9, but it has pretty good subgrades. And it's a out of 499. So it's a refractor auto. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, one, can I buy this card, potentially crack it and see if it gets a PSA 10? And that's my thought process. Two, though, am I okay with this card having a 9 and still going up in price as this guy begins to elevate his prospect status? And the answer is yes to that too. So I don't know. That's my little addition to y'all's conversation here.
I love that. Great addition, great insights, great strategy there from Lefty McKee. Everybody, we've mentioned raw to grade. We're going to get into some more raw to grade right now. But first, are you confused by grading your cards with PSA? Just grade with us at nooffseason.com. Send us your cards. We do the hard part. And Lefty knows this. We save you money. Also, we track your gem rate for you in this really cool member dashboard that you get, where you get to see all the cards that you've ever graded with the gem rate, all the grades you've ever got, and our pre-grade success rate. All right, so let's move into some raw to grade movers real quick in our rankings. So as you know, we have the only sports card rankings that exist on the planet or in the universe that help you buy cards now that will make you money in the future. However, they're updated very consistently, and so we want to make you aware of some of those updates. Lamar Jackson, 2020 Prism Color Blast, target cost of $1,300 based on recent comps. That ROI is down a percent change of 65%. So now you can't make money on that card. Now it's a negative 31% ROI card. Same with Bobby Witt Jr., 2022 Topps Update Gold US 100. Target cost based on recent comps, $242. Now a negative 12% ROI after a change in the wrong direction of 98%. We can talk real quick in a minute about why the percent ROI changes and things like that. But you can still make money on Caitlin Clark's 2024 Select Concourse Silver Flash. I think this card's going to continue to go down in cost, though, as Prism hits the market. So maybe keep holding off on buying it. But even if you do buy it at the target cost of $121, you can still make 70% ROI, 78% ROI, but the ROI percentage change is down 82%. You used to be able to make a lot more money on that card. The reason why this changes, and we're the only rankings that cover this, is Lamar Jackson, Bobby Witt, and that Caitlin Clark, those three cards have gone up in comps. And so as they go up in comps, but their PSA 10 upside stays the same, the ROI percentage will go down. And so that is what the formula helps you account for. There are two cards that have changed quite a bit in ROI percentage in the positive direction, though. Jackson Holiday's 2024 Topps Chrome Negative Refractor, target cost $32. The ROI change is up 63%. So now you can make money on that card. It was at 0. Now it's at 63%. And James Wood, his 2022, it's kind of a blast from the past. James Wood, first Bowman Chrome Auto, is up 58% in ROI percentage. You can make 43% on that now. It was negative. Now it's in the positive. Target cost $145. And then Lefty, we do have a tab that is graded to raw, where you would actually buy an already graded card, crack it out, and sell it raw. And an interesting one here that Jake the Guardian found, graded to raw, Klay Thompson 2021 Prism PSA 9. If you can get it for $29, it actually sells for 24% more than that raw, which is very interesting based on recent comps. Those don't always work, but if you listen to buy it now or best offer, maybe Klay Thompson because of the Luka trade. I don't know. Who knows? But those are our sports card rankings movers. You got to go check out our rankings at nooffseason.com. Okay, now it's time for Lefty and I to each pick a featured auction that is posted at nooffseason.com, by the way, so you can go check it out there and talk about why people should or shouldn't try to win the card. We're going to let Kendall, the Lefty McKee, go first and talk about the auction that he wants to highlight here and tell us, is this something we need to go after, or is this something that we need to pump the brakes on?
Yeah, I have two that I like that I've looked at on the specifically. I'm glad that we brought up here the graded to raw movers. I'm looking at this Ethan Salas 9 auto. It's in our raw to grade sheet. It is near the top, and it's probably number 15 or 16 down the list. But it's a raw to grade auto right now that is projected to be around $80. I'm actually assuming that this card is going to sell for less than that. Ethan Salas is not the hyped prospect. So when we talk about going where they ain't, we talk about digging 1 or 2 layers deeper on the previous release. Well, he was a Bowman Chrome release. So not only is it a year ago, but it's also a release before the year ago release. So Ethan Salas was one of the hottest prospects in the game. And now we're looking at this PSA 9 autograph right here that could go for just underneath the cost of a raw. And so I am interested in this as a crack case to sell raw, especially because I think Ethan is going to have more hype as we get into the spring here. So if we bring this card in now in the next 6 to 12 days, you could definitely get this back on the market as a raw card within the next month, and I believe make some good cheddar on that. My second one is not a raw to grade play, but it is a raw to grade play. Or not a graded to raw play. It is a raw to grade play. And that is the select refractor of Caitlin Clark. The prisms have still not hit the market yet, which we thought they were going to hit the market last week. They have not hit the market yet. I've checked today. There are not any prism silvers available on eBay yet. And as soon as those go live, I know this card will fall from grace, which I want it to. 1, because it's ugly, and 2, because I'm still going to make money on it. I plan on buying this card pretty religiously. 1, because I'll have no problem selling it because I don't like the way it looks. Like that is a
people
positive.
love Caitlin Clark and they love this card, so it's perfect win-win for you.
It's a win-win for me. I don't like it and other people do. Perfect. Get it out of my hands. So I plan on buying this card pretty consistently as soon as those prisms start hitting the market. I actually sent 1 in for grading this last week because I ended up having 1 because I ripped a blaster of select WNBA just to see if I could pop one, and I did. So getting 1 out for grading was enough for me because I didn't have to technically buy this card for $119 or whatever it is going for. I want to buy this card at like $60, and I think it will fall down to that. So,
I mean, this is a perfect card to segue as well because I too have targeted this card, but it has $111 target cost, and we're talking about Caitlin Clark 2024 Select Concourse Silver number 72. And I've bid on it, but it's been going over that consistently. Yeah. Not by much, but by, maybe $5 to $10. And so I've just been letting other people have it. And I've happily lost all of my Caitlin Clark auctions for select cards for all the same reasons you mentioned. So I won't hit them again. I think you're right on the money there. I'm excited about Prism hitting the market, driving down the price of Select. I do still think if you can pick a gradable card and gem it, which is the whole deal, then you can make a lot of money on Caitlin Clark Select. And while other people spend all their money on Prism, you can make money on that play. So that's what I hope everybody does. But yeah, it might take a few more weeks to Lefty's point. Hopefully, not that much longer, but it could take 2 to 3 more weeks, maybe even a few more weeks after that, just to see the select prices actually get to where he wants them at 60. Found an option
to that.
What's that?
Do you think it falls to 60? It's about 112 right now.
I think it could. I think everybody. I think it definitely could.
Is your market movers working?
Not right now.
Mine's not working either. So I was gonna try to check to see if a PSA 9 of these are going for 112 because a raw, graded to raw play on that could potentially bang as well.
I have tried that, and it's close. There's like I've almost won the PSA 9 at like, well, I don't say almost won, but I've bid at PSA 9s, like my high bid of like 50 to 60, and I think they've been going for close to the raw, like much closer to the raw cost. So like I do know that they've been going for much, like I don't know if they've been going for over the raw cost, but right around the raw cost. So I don't know that there's a play there yet. Like I don't know, but that'd be a good one.
That's just my first thought.
My auctions, I have 3. One is full disclosure, I wasn't even going to feature this because I was going to try to win it myself and then talk about it later. I don't normally do that. But for those of you who, normally I let everybody know, hey, there's an opportunity here. Technically, I have let everybody know there's an opportunity here because if you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, this has been our number 1 raw to grade card for, I would say, at least the last 8 to 12 weeks. I'd have to check in with Jake the Guardian on that. But I had a conversation recently with Jake the Guardian, and I said, look, if no more Victor Wembanyama Prism Purple Ice out of 149 raw become available, we need to take this, we need to just delete it from the rankings because it's like pointless to have cards up there that like nobody could even find, right? But good on us because there is one, and there's still time left in the auction. So even if you're listening to this on Apple and Spotify, there still could be time for you to win this auction. Now, here's why I'm sharing it, because I want to make a point. My target cost on this is what our sports card ranking says the target cost should be, which is $810. Now, the upside of this card in a PSA 10 is $3,670, but based on what it sells for in a PSA 9 and its gem rate, there is a 190% projected return on investment for this card. So I have been outbid. The current bid is $830. Now, this tells you how disciplined I am at staying at the target cost because I swear by our sports card rankings and I use them exclusively to make my plays. I mean, there might be a play or two like the Michael Jordan plays and stuff that don't appear in the sports card ranking because there's not enough sales data for them, but pretty much exclusively making plays based on our sports card rankings. So for any of you interested, there is a Victor Wembanyama Prism Purple Ice raw out of 136. Sorry, not out of 136, out of 149, card number 136. And people, I mean, I think there's no guarantees, but I think this one's gemmable. So you can go find it yourself. I'm going to move on to the next one, but I think that that's valuable information on the Sports Card Strategy Show. 2 more Victor Wembanyama auctions. Now, Lefty, this is more of a, I would say, calculated, already graded strategy here, where you have Victor Wembanyama first had autos in 2022 Bowman University Inception, Bowman University, and Bowman University Best. Those were kind of like 3 sets that came out back to back to back that had like what I would classify as his first autos. Technically, his first autos were in Inception, but there's PSA 10s of these autos. Now, what I like about them are the point that you just made earlier in the episode about going back. You made it with the Solace a couple minutes ago, going back a couple releases. So we'd be going back a couple releases. These have been out on the market for a long time. Now they're available in auctions. People want to get rid of them in auctions. You have a Victor Wembanyama 2022 Bowman University Best Gold Refractor auto out of 50 in a PSA 10. This is a very exclusive card. So now the upside of this card is that it's a very exclusive card, but that can also be the downside because you might be if you win this auction, chances are you're going to be the latest comp for a long time. So what you have to, the play here has to be, is that you feel Victor Wembanyama is going to succeed at a level on the court and in the news cycle so high within the next 6 to 18 months that the value of this card goes up to where you can auction it off for a profit. I think that's going to happen. So that's why I like these cards to buy them in auction. 13.25 on this one, 16 bids, ends in 6 days though. So there's still a lot of time. One that ends in 2 days, 2.5 days, is his first auto, Bowman University Inception 2022 PSA 10. It's at $1,400 right now in 18 bids with basically 2.5 days left. I think each of these are great cards. Not only because you're going back in time to buy cards that have been out on the market, but they're also licensed. Now, they're not licensed for the San Antonio Spurs. They're licensed for Mets 92, but they're licensed, right? They're not Photoshopped. They don't look weird. I agree with you. Like, I like these cards. So I say, if you can win these auctions, you're going to spend a lot of money, but you're going to have a Victor Wembanyama auto licensed in a PSA 10, and you're going to have to hold it for a while, maybe even auction it off at some kind of a performance spike in the future. But because you can get it in an auction right now, that's why I like it. Now, these cards are listed at nooffseason.com. So if you're listening, you're not able to find them, go check them out at nooffseason.com. Sounds like Lefty likes them. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think so. This is a thing that's going to make a rare thing specifically on Wemby. And I think Caitlin Clark fits this in a way too. I think their previous jersey of their previous team isn't necessarily a downgrade for either one of them because of the way that they came to the sport. You know, I think like Caitlin Clark was so ridiculously good at Iowa that I think her Iowa cards will still hold value. Maybe not in the same way, but I think Wemby's also, because he came in the way he did, I think there is going to be a collector base that's going, and maybe even an investor base that's going to really appreciate the Mets jersey that he has on. And I don't think it's necessarily going to take a hit because he's not in a Spurs jersey. I still think this Inception card is beautiful. It's good looking. I like it. I like the Inception card better than the out of 50 gold card that you showed. And I can't remember, is it Bowman's Best or something? You're muted, so I don't know what you said. But
it's Bowman's Best.
Yeah. So I like the Inception one personally better than I did the Bowman's Best one. But I still think there's going to be residual value long-term on those two cards. Maybe even, now this is a hot take, this might be even in the long-term the cards that are more valuable because they are a PRC. Sometimes we have seen, if we look backwards, we have seen some people's cards be more valuable PRC than their rookie cards. You know, like we think about, for instance, the most valuable Babe Ruth card I think that's ever been sold was actually a minor league card that was printed while he was in Boston. And it was like, that one's been the most highest. So like, obviously that's like GOAT status and long vintage. You know, there's a lot of other markets that are playing into this. But we can look backwards on some cards that are PRC. Look at the Michael Jordan star cards that are coming out right now. You know, like technically that's pre-86 Fleer. I you know, like, some of those are in his North Carolina uni, and they're still going for a lot of money. Does that play into Wemby's market in the future where his Mets jersey cards are actually harder to find than his Spurs rookie cards, than the Prism Silvers were going to be? And the Prism Silvers got played into that China thing, you know, like where they overprinted them and they're fake and now they're out there. I'm just saying, maybe in the long term, maybe the PRC card of Wemby is actually going to be more valuable. So that's a speculation play, but at the same time, I still think this is like worth considering. And I still think that it's you're going to spend a lot of money here, but it's also going to be a card that I believe is going to be pretty valuable for a long time.
There you go. Do you like the content on this show? Get an extra weekly Friday podcast for premium members only by joining nooffseason.com today, or leave us a tip at tips.sportscardstrategy.com. We love all of you. All right, let's move into our next segment. Lefty, I'm going to let you go first. And from the formula, Lefty picks a card from the formula, any tab that he thinks would be a good play for you all. And then I go after him. Lefty, what do you got for us from the formula?
Yeah, I think we have one of the same cards here in terms of the card that we are looking at.
We have the same card.
I think we do.
That's great.
I didn't look at what yours was before this, but I have two from the formula that I really like. One of which being the 2018 295 or something like that. It's the Aaron Judge card that I really like. The Aaron Judge 169 rookie card. I am looking at this Topps Chrome version of this card, and there's a BGS 9 version that I'm really looking forward to right now. I will share my tab real quick. Here we go. This is the card I'm looking at from the formula that I really like. The raw to grade on this one is really good. This is a card that we've liked previously. He's Aaron Judge. People are going to forget that he dropped a ball in the World Series as soon as the game starts. So I'm looking at that one. Plus another card that I like that we have on Arch Manning's that I personally have bought 3 of in the past month is the silver Saturday Stars Silver Signatures Series sealed. Now, currently there's none on auction, but that card is another one that I have been zoning in on in the past couple of months.
All right, so the Aaron Judge in the formula raw to grade, the 169 from Topps Chrome. Target cost $52, projected ROI 45%. I think that's one where, even though it is coming up on baseball season, I do think it's a bit of a go where they ain't. So that's part of the reason why I like that, because I do think it shows a profit right
People are
now.
down on him right now.
It shows a profit right now. B, I agree with what Lefty said in that I think his value, just historically, his value picks up during the baseball season. Now he has to have a good season, but even if he doesn't, if you buy in at $52, and then C, that card has graded well. That and the paper version of that card, believe it or not, even from 2017, the Chrome and the paper version, which are both in our formula-based sports card rankings at nooffseason.com, our premium members have made a lot of money on that card because it has graded well. It has gemmed quite a bit. So I like that. Now, Lefty showed another kind of cool thing, which was an auction for a BGS 9.5. Could that be potentially a crack and submit? Kind of depends where the auction ends. I think it's gotta probably not go too much higher than it was gonna be at. But I do like that. Now, the Arch Manning Prism 2023, we got to clarify this because he's also now been in 2024 Prism draft picks. But the 2023 Prism draft pick Saturday Star Signatures is the one to go after. The raw to grade shows a 60% projected ROI just in a raw to grade. Now, like the Aaron Judge, Lefty and I also think that card's going to go up in general. So you're looking at a situation where you could probably make more than 60%, especially if it gems. So I have been buying that card, and I have a question that I wanted to pose to Lefty on the show and just have a discussion about. I think I have a takeaway from this. But when you look at Arch Manning 2023 Prism draft picks Saturday Star Signatures, I challenge all of you to do this and then get back to me. I challenge you to look at as many copies of this card as you possibly can. And then look at the front and back of each copy that you can find. And tell me if you can find the difference And this is legitimately because I don't know. This is not like I want to try to stump you or like a trivia question. This is like, let's all figure this out together because I think there could be a play here. So when you look at this card, raw or graded, what I've found is that they all look the same, but that some are listed differently than others. Some are listed with the word silver and some aren't. And so when I look at the card, I see the front and back of the ones listed not as silver. They say Prism at the bottom. There's nothing else different about the card that I can find. But then when you find some listed as silver, you see the exact same thing. Prism at the bottom. Nothing else about it. Now, what's also interesting about this is PSA has labeled some with the word silver and others without the word silver. The reason I'm on a mission to figure this out is because the ones that are listed as silver, even raw, especially raw, sell for way more than the ones not listed as silver. So the question here is, I guess it's two questions. Number one, is there an actual play where you buy this card from one that's not listed as silver, and then you list it raw as silver, and you make more money on it because you put silver in there, and on the back it says Prism, the way that a silver would. Question number two, why is PSA labeling some as silver, others not as silver? And in your PSA submission, should you simply put the word silver in there and hope that they put silver on the label? Because as we've seen before, even though it's PSA, it doesn't mean they're the most intelligent people in the world. And maybe you catch a break and you get silver on your label when I can't find a difference in these cards. Lefty, what the hell's going on here?
I will say, so I am looking at one in my hand. This one right here. I have one on my desk that I just bought. This one was labeled not silver. So
is it less silver than the one?
I will say, as I'm looking at this other one, though I believe it's the one that you pulled up, there is a rainbowing effect on the picture on eBay.
Yep.
And I don't have a rainbowing feature on my card that I would and I've looked at a lot of cards, so I know what a refractor looks like.
Yeah.
Or what a silver looks like. This one is not a silver.
Even though it says Prism on the back like a silver does.
And it does say Prism.
That's the problem I'm having with all of this.
Why on earth? Don't know.
Why on earth do they all say Prism, but some are silver and some aren't? When we all know that if it's silver, it's supposed to say Prism on the back, and if it's not silver, it's not supposed to frickin' say Prism on the back. This is a conundrum, and we're gonna figure this out. We might not figure it out today.
This is crazy. This is crazy, Paul. I bought 3 of these last week. 2 of them went to I bought them all with I bought one for $640, just for disclosure, one for $640, one for $641, one for $640. So they all were within $1 of each other, okay? Final price, like taxes and fees already, whatever. One of them says Prism, Saturday Stars first, that no silver is mentioned. One of them has no Prism silver mentioned as well. One of them says Signatures silver. It has it has been to authentication at PSA already.
I like that word, authentication.
Authentication. Authenticity guaranteed has already cleared it, saying, yes, it is a silver and it's coming my way.
That's incredible. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly, Lefty just absolutely nailed the whole play that I'm talking about. I've purchased 2 of these cards. One is Panini sealed. I talked about it on the show already for $579.65, which I was pumped about because that's like, and that's Panini sealed, already authenticated. That does not have silver in the listing, in the title. And then the second one I got also does not have silver in the listing, but it was at $460.62. This is what I'm talking about, getting in an auction, people. Like you get the deals that way. $460.62, and it's not Panini sealed. So that could also be why maybe it's selling for less. Because anyway, great discussion there. Derek Hagan says the only way to tell is the rainbow effect. That probably is true. I hate that if that is true, I hate that they did that, because I think that's
easy.
We should not. There are visually impaired people in the world that are card collectors. I'm sure of it. And there are people that are colorblind. There are people that, like, why do we have to be confused with this, Panini? I mean, this is stupid. Put something on the card, whether or not it's silver. And if we're going to call it silver as a hobby, let me get on a different soapbox real quick. If we're going to call it silver and everyone in the hobby is going to call it silver, including the grading companies and the manufacturers, why the F does it say prism and not silver? That's the dumbest. Anyway, Lefty, we gotta wrap up today's show.
We will have this as a segment next week because I will have them in my hand next week.
Love that.
I will have 3 of them. One of them has a rainbow effect, and 2 of them don't.
So then next week, in
person, I will know.
Next week's show is going to be fire, as always. Lefty is going to lead the way with the continuation of the Arch Manning WTF Saturday Star Signature Silver conversation. We've got a ridiculous amount of phenomenal content at nooffseason.com. We actually had to push some segments that were supposed to be on today's show to later that were all about Sports Card School Lessons of the Month and Premium Pod QAs of the month. So stay tuned for those on future episodes. I'm going to hit a Brian Bartunik question real quick. He says, my 30-day premium trial is about to end. How do I grab the annual instead of the monthly I originally picked? Brian says, thanks guys. Love the content and I'm in long-term. Thanks, Brian. We appreciate you. Brian, just go into your account, dude, into your, like, right when you're logged in at nooffseason.com. All you have to do is either on the homepage or the My Account page, go to subscriptions and the subscriptions tab, and or the memberships tab. It's on one of those 2 tabs. And all you have to do is just simply, if you want to cancel your monthly, you can cancel your monthly. And if you do, then just go back to nooffseason.com/premium and select the annual and sign up for that. No problem. Actually, Brian, it will give you, it won't do this for anybody else because the packages have changed. It's going to give you an additional free 30 days if you do that. And I'm okay with that, Brian, because you're Brian and you can get an additional free 30 days on me because I know that you're going to stay subscribed. Lefty, do you have anything else you want to add for today's show before I hit him with the outro?
I do have a small thing, but I think it can wait till next week. So let's do it next week.
Lefty's going to put it on the agenda on the show notes for next week. Stay tuned. Great teaser there. Lefty got everybody all excited. And then he said, you know what? Everybody needs to come back next week. Chris Law says, do yourselves a favor and grab a free month's premium membership. You won't regret it. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. Chris is a paid member, so that's coming from a paid member. Most of these guys in the live chat are paid members. We love all of you in the nooffseason.com fam. Everybody have a great week. We will see you again next Monday. For those of you premium members, we'll see you on Friday for the premium pod. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. If you enjoyed the content on today's show, there's plenty more waiting for you at nooffseason.com. Just go to nooffseason.com right now and get a free 30-day trial. You get our formula-based sports card rankings, sports card school, inventory tracker, the ability to grade with us, and the premium podcast where we answer an unlimited amount of your questions. Check it out right now at nooffseason.com. For everyone at nooffseason.com, I'm Paul Hickey. Thanks again for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. We'll see you again soon. Have a great day.